Okay, there we go. Let's bring up the camera. Okay, so just so you guys know, I've gone and changed a bunch of audio settings that I use in my broadcasting software. So just let me know if there is any issues with it, because I had to redo the microphone, in-game audio stream, the whole 9 yards. So if there's something funky, just let me know. Anyways, they went and added alterations for the Justice and the Freedom, so I'm going to be looking at those as well today, so don't worry about that one, guys. It's going to be a great day, let me tell you what. Let's switch over to live chat here. Perfect. Okay, so the normal lap, we're going to look at the welfare, then we'll look at the gacha suits, the gacha pilots, and then we'll look at alteration and all the other fun stuff, step by step. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let me grab my glasses real quick, because I'm already squinting. You know, it really tilts me too. I just got this chair, a new base for this chair, because that's why I haven't been using it for months. The company decided to ship me the cheap plastic base instead of the metal base that I originally got with the chair. So yeah, it's already busted on a leg, because the surface I'm on puts a lot of pressure on the wheels, because it's one of those like plastic mats. So as you sit on it, it creates like divots in the plastic. So the second you try shifting the chair at all, the wheels try to turn and move, and it just causes a ton of pressure on the frame. So the plastic gave out like almost immediately. It was insane. Anyways, yes, exchange. Let's get this cracking. This chair is so damn comfy though. I can't wait to get a proper base for it. No, John, I'm not going to read. I simply refuse. Okay. So, we'll start with the Blast Impulse. What do we got? Shot Attack 2550. That's not that bad. Again, you know, for a welfare, that's definitely on the more higher end of the spectrum, I guess. Because that's like, what, 1800 or something? 19? Somewhere around there. Melee attack down 10%, shooting crit rate. I've talked many times about shooting crit rate. I don't think it's really that great of a boost. At least this isn't like special shot crit rate, it's just shooting crit rate, so this would affect EX skills and stuff. So maybe if you're gambling for some kind of like high damage EX crit thing, maybe, but long range, mid range. Like, those are both minor offensive tags, so like, cool. Okay. It's actually not a bad head for welfare, frankly. I think the trait's really the only thing I don't 100% like, but the word tags are quite convenient, and it does have decent enough stats. Not bad. Okay. With speed attribute, shooting power boost by 25%. So that's pretty much a guaranteed 25% boost. We have a ton of ways to get speed attributes on your machine, and because it's a welfare part, you can easily push this up past the to EX10. So this is pretty much just a free 25% torso. That's really good because well, yeah, it's 25% boost, and this will affect everything: your EX skills, your basic shot, charge, everything. So, doing good. It also comes with long range, mid range. Again, these are two very powerful minor offensive skills for shot. You know, it's high firepower. Effectively raises your shot attack by 5% and a related defensive stat. So, honestly, this is nice. Stat distribution wise, shot attack is going to be just a little higher than average. But frankly, I think that overall this is actually an amazing welfare piece. It great tag selection, because it's really easy to get ace exclusive, not so much to get things like long range and things like that. So this could be a third tag option set up for, you know, like ace exclusive, high firepower, and long range / mid range. Who knows? But seal of approval on that one. I actually really like how that part came out. Actually, wait, let me check something here real quick. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, opinion still stands. That's a good part. That's a solid. I'm definitely getting that gold, for sure. Okay, with Lance category equipped, enemy melee power reduced. Very easy to get Lance category weapons, so that's going to be a very easy trigger. Good on a support style suit, you know, being able to reduce melee power by 25%. Fantastic. Set distribution wise, you're looking at a very weak pair of arms. It has very low melee attack, effectively average shot attack, but to be expected, it is more of a shot oriented part. Now defensively, this will add an extra 300 or so shot attack with a 30% modifier gear to shot, which would push it up to about 700 change-ish. So that's actually not too bad for a pair of arms on a welfare for shot attacks. So, but definitely this is something I would pick up primarily for the trait. It also has long range. For Tundra, I'm not really feeling. I don't even know if I'd really call the Impulse for Tundra in the first place, but I guess the Blast Impulse specifically really only made sound. Anyways, thematically or not, this is a good part for a support suit due to the trait. Stat-wise and word tag-wise, kind of on the fence about. Yeah. Since it only would really bring long range to the table in that sense, I don't really think it's terribly amazing. We don't have a lot for Tundra in general. Yeah, I guess that is true as well. That is true. I guess it's just because when I look through my parts, I see a lot of things that have 4 Tundra. Not as much as things that have like ace exclusive and high firepower, of course. So, but yeah, you're right on that one. Long range 4 Tundra again. Stat distribution wise, it's a pair of legs, literally. You're looking at actually less than average melee attack and pretty much average shot attack. With speed attribute, long shot attack raise, that'll only affect your neutral shots. Not very useful. So trait, not that great. Stats, not that great. And word tags, meh. Now, of course, I guess you could argue, you know, you get another 300 from your shot defense pumped into shot attack, pushing it up to 700. But even then, considering the options that we're starting to get in the standard pool from parts, because you gotta remember, right, the average stat ceiling is starting to get raised up now. We're finding normal parts that are pushing 800, 900 without any kind of defense calculated in. Purely for a welfare, I'd say it was pretty good stats, but unfortunately it just doesn't really shine in comparison to what you're able to get with pick tickets anymore, even with all the modifications and things like that in place. It's not a bad part, it's just not... doesn't stick out as much as the chest, but tis. Okay, backpack, what are you packing? The Kerberos High Energy Long Range Beam Cannon. Like, I get it, you used the right name, but could you have been more of a mouthful, really? A-D, so it's going to hit like a wet noodle. It's a cutscene skill to boot. Not feeling this one. Stat distribution, see the legs, and word tags. Long range, mid range, so at least there's that going for it. You could use it as a aesthetic if you're using the back for like a trait, but I would not use this for the EX skill whatsoever. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the really bad joke. Javelin throw, B+D. Attack by throwing the beam javelin in your right hand. Long range for Tundra. Okay, so you're looking at obviously suboptimal melee attack. The welfare. You're looking at no shot attack. You're looking at a... okay. EX skill. We've seen skills like this before. This is effectively going to be a weaker Yeet Shield, as it is a B+ power skill instead of an A-. But same concept, yeah. Look at your enemy, you tosser. Yeah, long range again pops up, so there's at least that. Unfortunately, as this is the melee slot, it's got a lot of competition, especially on a melee build. With those poor stats and everything, there's so many options that just completely outshine it. Alright, so gear, really nothing cool there. Here, alright, just the change gears. Let's take a look at the B exchange. What chips do we got? Mass production, Federation, Commander, Transformer, or Desert. That's a very interesting spread, actually. Obviously, speed is our attribute tag. Okay, yeah, I can get on board with that. That's an interesting spread. Some of those we've kind of been lacking, so okay. I just remembered Shin yeeting the javelin into Abyss. Yeah, no, he was really. People give him so much shit because he was a real whiny boy, but like he was a good pilot. Don't sleep on Shin. He will screw you up. But yeah, his character could have been a little better, I think. Okay. Let's look at the Barbatos. Okay, so we'll start with the 4th form. Yeah, 1.25. These are actually really nice rates. We get bonus stuff too, huh? Okay. So, new shiny Barbatos. What do we got? Oh, nice. It comes at level 80. That'll make my life easier. So, slightly higher than average melee attack. Obviously, lower than average shot attack. It is a melee spec part. Alaya Vinyana system. Same awakening. Looks like the same buff. Speed by 20, melee by 30, and no flinch. Gun type for desert. Interesting word tags. Stat distribution. Okay. You know, the head, I'm pretty sure it's actually decently stronger in terms of melee than the original Barbatos, because I think the Barbatos 4th had, what, 384 or something like that? So, but anyways. Yeah, okay. Really weird that it has so much shot defense on it, all things considered. Okay. With technique attribute, which it is, buff EX skill effect up by %, and that buffs itself up to 22. Actually, wait, hold on. Yeah, I forgot to look at this at EX10, didn't I? So that's going to be 39%. Yeah. Okay. That's a healthy boost. Especially considering we can ticket this. Okay. Torso. Wow, this is packing a lot of melee. 972 plus 79, 330. Maybe what, 2 change? So this torso is going to be pushing like 1100 melee attack just at level 80 if you put a 30% change gear on it. With technique attribute, buff attribute up, that's going to be what? 15? 22. Okay. Alright, Gundam type for desert. So stat distribution wise, this actually has really good shot attack on it. Because you're looking at, what? About 850 or so shot attack, give or take, around there. Which is pretty good for a torso. Melee attack is a lot better, pushing over 1k. Really nice considering you can just ticket this. As for the rest of it, Gundam type for desert. I really don't like the 4 desert tag. I really don't like any of the 4 X tags, you know, for space, for urban, for base, whatever. I'm not really a fan of those, as they give absolutely minimal boosts. Some of them are required as triggers to activate really convenient traits, but I don't think the trade-off in general is worth it, but each to their own. Gundam type, that's a useful EX, or not EX, a useful tag to a degree, depending on your build and everything, so, okay. The Barbatos Arms. 2940 melee attack. Unless I'm mistaken, the original Barbatos had 32, did it not? Or was it also 28? I think the original was 28 with its with its trait of if you're infighter, you get the melee boost. And then this one is rocking just higher, is it not? It was also 2800 with 1730. Oh, okay, so this one's changed it up. So the arms on the original Barbatos were if you were infighter, your melee was increased by the same multiplier percent, 17/30. This one is if you are any close range weapons EX skill power is boosted, so which is actually a neat modifier trait. So that's actually pretty cool. Other than that, there's really nothing too amazing on this. So the melee attack is pretty much average. The EX, or the trait, I keep saying EX. The trait is going to have limited usage. Close range weapons. So I'm assuming that means like melee weapons across the board? Or like close range shot. I'm so confused. That's really ambiguous the way that that's worded. I'm going to assume it means your melee weapon slot, close range weapons. Seems to be the safest way to go about it. It does have Gundam type and high firepower, which high firepower is an amazing word tag. It's used very heavily in both shot and melee, so it gives it a lot of flexibility on that front. Close range weapons will be your melee weapon, so yeah. Okay. Okay. That's what I figured. It's like a safe bet. It should have been a lot more clear, you know? So anyways, the way that the trait is, pretty much your close range weapon is your melee slot, and its EX skill power is boosted. So this is, instead of it saying, you know, your leg EX skill or your back EX skill, this is your melee weapon's EX skill. So, got a good EX skill on a weapon, there you go. Gundam type, high firepower, good word tags. For arms, like, they're not terrible stats, all things considered. And the traits, I guess, a very usable trait with how that works. I guess my only real concern with it, though, is some of the best, not all of, some of the best melee weapons in the game have traits, not EX skills that you use. This is going to be it's going to be a more limited use part. It's neat, I'll give it that, for sure. For sure. That high firepower word tag really, I think, saved it for me. Really kind of brought it together. While Gundam type, melee crit rate boost. I've talked about crit rate in the past, not really that convenient. Melee attack is just higher than an average. Everything else, pretty much average. High firepower, Gundam type again. Okay, cool. Okay, so the traits kind of meh, the stats are okay. Word tags, pretty okay. Yeah. I don't really see much of a point in getting that part other than for the word tags. So, yeah. Okay, backpack, mace throw, B+D, attack by eating the mace. Cool, Gundam type, high firepower. Alright, melee attack's going to be just higher than average. Okay. So see the previous part, effectively, for my opinion on this. The EX/trait, not really the most useful thing in the world. The stats, okay, you know, they can be used for things, but there's a lot of options that we can just pick from that are as good, if not better. And the word tags are pretty good, so... You hesitated. Not 100% sure what you're getting on there, bud. You pulled the Barbatos banner. Oh, that's totally your decision, my boy. Looking at it so far, I'm not really seeing anything that makes me want to really roll it, you know? or even like really consider saying, because don't forget, it's a standard banner. Once this week passes, you can just pick these parts with pick tickets, right? It's not really going to be a big deal. So even the Gujin shield is only B plus power at max. Thing is, the backpack is a highly contested slot on melee machines because you have things like the TAR, right? Trans Am Raid from the Exia back. That can be altered to be S power, right? When you're looking at the shield slot, you don't really have as many amazing options, at least not yet, for what you can alter to put in there. But, you know, when you look at the back for melee suits, there's way more competition than there is for the shield slot. That's why when I look at, even though it's the exact same specs as the Yeet shield, it's like you could pack in another quick firing skill like the Yeet shield onto your back, and then you have 2 quickies. But I personally think having at least one cutscene EX skill is ideal on your suit in case your quick fires don't work or your magazine skills, you know, don't do the job. And there's a lot of really good options available for cutscene for melee backs. So unleash a barrage of attacks with your blade B plus D. It's not going to be a cutscene. Okay, 3713 melee attack. Okay. Gun type for desert. What are you at max? Do you push up? No, you don't. Okay, well, you're not very useful. So stat distribution wise, it's definitely on the higher end of the scale, but it obviously is outshadowed by a lot of the 4K breaking weapons that we've had available. Its EX skill, not really feeling it. We've seen so many skills like that just hit like a wet noodle in comparison to what the numbers say. And the word tags has Gundam type. I guess, like, at least that's one saving grace for it, but yeah. I don't really like the sword that much. Okay, let's look at the weapon here, the Misc. Back parts EX skill power boost. Okay. And it has high firepower. Okay. So, what I'm seeing here, you have a weapon with okay melee attack. See the previous part where I talked about its melee attack. Gundam type high firepower. That trait's very interesting. So, on a melee suit, you can obviously make a lot of work out of this. But I thought about it, this actually worked really nice on a shot machine, because your melee slot's pretty much a free give. You get high firepower, and you get that trait to boost your back EX, and there's a ton of really good back EX on shot. It would work well on melee as well. It at least has numbers, so you could use it as a front piece. You could definitely use this as a sub-slot piece. But again, there's a lot of really good traits that are already available for melee, so that's kind of up in the air. But not so much for shots. This is actually something I may use one of my pick tickets on. That's actually pretty neat, all things considered. And actually, you know what? I just realized that is extremely powerful on a shot machine because almost everyone is running the Strike Noir back. You get a free 17% boost as soon as you get this on your backpack. That's really nice. Okay. I like this part. I like it a lot. There's a lot of things you can do with this. It makes that's a nice part. Brings a good word tag, brings a good trait, and it does work on both melee and shot builds. It has at least the numbers backing it up, but you can definitely sub-slot it. Melee is going to have a little bit more difficult of a time because of the amount of options that are available for the melee slot, but you know what, it's something you can definitely make work. Okay, Infighter Job, EX Skill Power Boost. Well, hey, there you go. There is the... So they made the melee weapon really good for shot builds, and they made the shot weapon really good for melee builds. What the heck is this? Like, I'm okay with it, you know, sure. Gundam type for... see, if it had the high firepower tag as well, that would have been amazing. But it has Gundam type and 4 desert, so you're going to need your front weapon to bring something really good, potentially both of the word tags you need. As for this back part, at least there's Gundam type, so that could fill out a potential thing in your build. So, how many pig tickets do I have? Okay, so I have 4 of them on hand, but I have enough fragments to craft like 12, I think. I have to double check. I have a lot of fragments. Okay. Thing is, for a shot weapon, this has very low shot attack, even after considering defensive shifts. Obviously, the trait is completely worthless on a shot build, because you're not going to do an in-fighter shot machine, you're just throwing away shot stats right there. Gundam type can be useful on shot builds, absolutely. For desert, again, I talked about how I feel about that a little earlier. Okay. Overall, the Barbatos 4th T is actually, I would argue, rather balanced. Some of the parts are really nice and a decent departure. All of them, I think, are actually a really good departure from the original suit, making it unique. At the same time, it has its own style that still makes it feel like the Barbatos itself. A lot of the parts, I think, on this can be used in a variety of builds. Overall, like, there's a lot of good stuff on this. It's just in how you apply it. So this actually reminds me a lot of the original Barbatos, in that the original 4th form arms are still used today in a lot of builds because a lot of people have an EX10, and it's not really that shabby of a part when you think about it. There's this one here. I can definitely see some of its parts being used over time as well, just because of the slots that they take up and the flexibility they bring. So nice. Wait for the Rex. The Rex is going to be limited, so... Alright, let's look at the Avalanche. I know a lot of people were really looking forward to this. I know personally in my Discord, I think it was probably a couple of months ago, people were really, like, sure that Avalanche was coming soon. So, here it is, finally. Not the true Avalanche, I guess, but the Avalanche Dash. So I guess you guys kind of won out on that one. So, let's take a look at what this sucker brings to the table. Yeah, yeet. Infighter Job, EX Skill Power Boost. We're starting off really strong. As it is a power type, that's, I think, relatively easy to make in melee, is it not? Well, I guess even if it isn't, it doesn't matter, because the trait doesn't require power to actually activate, just Infighter Job. And since that's 50% of the pilot that you're going to be using, because it's either going to be Infighter or Outfighter, and right now I think Infighters completely dominate the highest stat distribution anyway, so most people are going to be running those. Very easy to activate trait. Tags, Gundam type High Mobility. High Mobility, to my knowledge, isn't used so much in melee builds. I think it does activate a couple of traits, but overall, at least Gundam types there. Stat distribution, you're looking at just higher than average melee attack and much lower than average shot attack. Armor-wise, though, we do get to push about 400 extra stats over to the melee side, so this head will have about 1k melee, give or take, at level 80 raw, after a 30% gear's been applied. And that's pretty good for a part you're able to ticket, much like the Barbatos 4th head. Yeah, so I think the trait's good. I think the stats are good for a ticketable part, and at least has Gundam types of word tag. I'm not really feeling the High Mobility. With power attribute, Buffy X skill up. I've talked about how I feel about Buffy X already, so I'll just move right along. Melee attack, it's gonna be what? Yeah, 725 plus 5, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, 4, 5, 4, 7-ish? 4, 7-ish. Okay. So the melee attack of this torso is going to be like 1100 change, 1150 or something. So that's pretty good, again, for something that you're able to just tick in and get your hands on without too much difficulty. And that's just a level 80. That's pre-marks. That's everything. So that's I think, really good. Pretty much like I was saying with the Barbatos. The thing is, this is starting to become the norm, and that's personally what I think a lot of these things have been re-released for, is to make well, the Barbatos in particular and the original Gundam was to kind of buff up the stats and make them more viable, I guess, in this kind of meta that we've pulled ourselves into. So you kind of have to make the rest of the parts that come out match that. So when you see things like this, where, you know, you rewind 3-4 months ago and you're thinking like these stats are so much higher now, it looks like the parts are kind of adapting to how we're playing the game, and they're really focusing on kind of bringing the offensive numbers into the game. So anyways, I don't think the trait's really that great. I personally think it's more or less of a write-off. Gundam tags, or the word tags, Gundam type high mobility. See the headpiece for what I talked about there. Stat-wise, you know, it brings over 1k of its primary stat. I'd say that's pretty much a net win. It brings barely any shot attacks, so in comparison, there are better part traits. There absolutely are, especially on the torso these days. It's not like we don't have a ton of options, right? GN Vulcan. Okay, so it has D power. Now, something to remember, Vulcans have been changed. This one does not seem to have, because this is a magazine Vulcan, not a straight shot Vulcan like we typically get. The straight shot Vulcans are the ones you activate and it just keeps firing until it completely runs through its clip. And those ones have a chance to stagger when enough bullets have hit, on top of doing the debuff cycle. This one, as it's a magazine, doesn't get that bonus. Unfortunately, it also has D power, meaning it's gonna hit, like, I don't even understand the point of this. They've pretty much given it the demerits of the Vulcan, so it has very little power but high pierce. They gave it a magazine, and with giving it a magazine, they removed the balance buff they gave to Vulcans to make them viable. They took 2 steps forward, you know, 1 step. Actually, no, they just took 2 steps back with this one, frankly. So that's completely useless EX. Stat distribution wise, what are we looking at? 3, 3, 3, 4. Okay, you know, for a ticket part, that's not bad. Plus 1, 6, 4, 7 defense. 30%, that's what, 4, 5 change? So you're looking at almost 4k melee attack at level 80 on these with a 30 change on it. So that's, you know, take that as you will. That's, you know, for what this part is, pretty good. Gundam type 4 computers. Again, we see a 4x tag. Not really feeling that one. Gundam type, I am feeling that one, you know, at least there is that. I guess 4 computers recently got that trait, but I just don't think it's really worth it, because it only gives you a 1% boost to all traits. Granted, it is 3% if you're in a space map. Considering space maps make up like, what, 5 to 8% of the total map pool? Not really worth it. Okay. Aesthetically, they're nice. Outside of that, you're pretty much looking at them as a stat stick slash for the Gundam type tag. Or I guess if you really need 4 computers. Alright, well, let's look at the legs. The actual dash. High mobility mode, A plus B. Wow, they did not make this in a... Oh, wait. They may still have the awakening on the back with burst. Okay. A plus B. Lower the hits melee defense. It's not a cutscene. I have a feeling this is going to be one of those has a decent power, hits like a wet noodle. That's kind of my feeling on this. Stat distribution wise, 723 melee attack. So we'll go back to the normal numbers. 556. We're pushing about 500 from that. So that gives us about 1,000-ish plus, about what, 1,080 or so melee attack on this, which is you know, sounds pretty good. Gundam type for computers. Yeah. I don't like the EX skill. The stats are more or less the new standard. And I only like one of the word tags. So, like for new players, these numbers are really good to kind of get your first suit and play with. But for people that have been playing for a decent amount of time, you pretty much just want to sit on this. Like, we can just pick this at any point when the week's done, so it doesn't even matter, right? Alright, backpack, Avalanche unit. So they didn't give it an awakening with burst. I'm actually kind of surprised by that. Okay, A power, D pierce, cutscene EX, nice. Execute combo attacks using close range weapons, speed up, melee attack up. That's the 29% mod, not the 39%, which is really odd considering you have Alaya Vinyana, which right next to it. Okay, I guess this does damage versus just being a buff, so there's at least that. A power means it's going to hit like a truck, especially considering it's a cutscene EX skill. Okay, Gundam type for computers. And numbers wise, you're looking at 1400 melee attack. That's, for a backpack, that's actually really good. That's practically limited tier, 1400. Although I should look at the level 80 stats, because that'll help me a lot more here. 16, so that's going to be what? 5 change, 1k, 11. Yeah, okay. 11 falls back into the normal scope we'd expect for a ticketable part now. So, it's still a solid part. It has a good EX skill. It has the Gundam type tag. It has good stats for a backpack. If it can push itself up to S power, nice. Although I still think Tar is going to win out at the end. So, that's just due to how long Tar's been in the game. Which is better, Exia back, Quanti back, or this back? Exia, because it's the only one that can achieve S power with alteration, of course. But the fact that it can do that immediately makes it better than everything else, because everything else can only get A power. I know a lot of people jump to the Quanta back. I would use the Quanta back for stats. Actually, I don't even know if I'd use it for stats. I'm pretty sure the Exia back post-alteration is actually better. So, you'd have to take a look at the exact numbers. But alteration is, it's as somebody said in last week's live stream, alteration is effectively the 7-star of this game. It gives like a 20% boost to the stats. It brings stupid amounts of modifications to the EX skill or adds a second trait to it. In general, it makes the part, that was already really good, unbelievably good. And we'll see that once we go look at the Freedom and Justice. Yeah, the Exia had its alteration forever ago. Okay. And lastly, the weapons. 1/1 enemy shot down, reduce cooldown by, is that just 35%? No, 50%. Okay, cool. 4137. So this is sitting at that nice part where it has very high melee attack. Arguably, I think only Gerber Straight Tiger Pierce really matches it. And that's actually what I was about to say too. As this is a dual blades, you have to directly compare it to the Gerber Straight Tiger Pierce, as they take up the same slot and they are the same weapon type. And unfortunately, this has Gundam type, high mobility, and its trait is not nearly as good as the Gerber Straight Tiger Pierce. It is by no means a bad set of weapons. It has good numbers behind it. It has the Gundam type tag, which is useful for specific builds and comps. Unfortunately, its part trait is kind of not great, and the high mobility tag is really build dependent. The Gerberus Straight, however, comes with Close Combat, comes with Pro Tag, comes with, boost your EX skill if your suit activates Pro Tag, and it has the same offensive stat distribution. You just can't compete against that. It brings literally the best you could ask for into a weapon. So I feel really bad for these being classed into the same thing as the Gerberus Straight Tiger Pierce. Okay, so that's those out of the way. On to the pilots. We'll look... Oh, Norris. No, we'll start with Miguel. Miguel! As he gets literally chopped in half. With Speed Attribute, EX Skill Piercing Boost. Not really feeling it. Force Space High Mobility. Okay. Thematically on point. Don't like it. Stat Distribution... Are you guys seeing these stats, though? They really did Miguel dirty. They really did Miguel dirty. Holy... He's like Haro tier, guys. This man is Haro tier. Oh, God, that gets me. Switch mode Miguel. Yeah, that's literally the one single situation where he's not absolutely hot trash. But even then, like, he doesn't have great word tags. He doesn't have any other stats rolling for him. Like, he brings no armor to your suit or anything. Like... Ooh. Oh shit, I need to look at Norris. Alright, what do you got? 2265. I don't care, a new version of Java's ready. While Xeon, all power boosted. Wow, so you had been really good like 4 months ago. Unfortunately, not so much now because there's Norba, who's just, you just get all power boost. Xeon close combat, melee attack is on the pretty much peak of melee, so you could definitely use him in a melee build. If you somehow activate the Xeon tag, power to you. And he brings close combat and the Xeon tag he needs. So overall, not a terrible pilot. You could definitely use him for the stats. Okay. Kind of interesting. Okay. Exclusive Gunpla step-up capsules and all this fun stuff. Okay. Well, what we're going to do, before we get to the alteration, we're going to look at the event blueprint shop, see if anything neat got added there. And then we'll go look at the alterated strike, or not strike freedom, just the freedom and the justice. Stray, this is still a red frame custom, right? Oh no, it's just the normal red frame. Cool. Well, hey, you know what? If you need to level up your bisect, here you go. V2, GPO1, blue frame, and all that. Cool. Okay. And there's really nothing else interesting in here? No. Okay. Cool. So let's go look at alteration. Yes, situation, which isn't terrible, sure. But for general use, you really don't want to use them. For situational, everything has a very high value. So that's not really much of a thing to judge it on, right? Like, actually, good example. Fate Grand Order. Its entire tier list is based off of how well a unit is able to farm. And not so much for the challenge quests. And the primary reason for that is because each challenge quest is specifically designed to do something different, and you need a different approach to tackle each one. It's very, very rare that you're going to be able to do the exact same comp for two challenge quests or 2 main story bosses and get away with it. So trying to say a thing is good under certain situations makes it completely useless in another. So you have to find kind of a common point to use it as a baseline of whether it's a good thing or not. And that's why I tend to look at Arena, story missions, and multi-missions, because those 3 are effectively consistent across the board. We know what to expect from all story missions, we know what to expect in the arena from whether we're building or what our opponents are building, and we know what to expect from multi-missions. So it's a very good thing to base off of those. Once you start, switch mode, Minovsky mode, the special subclasses in the arena and things like that, that's where it kind of starts going off the rails, because no longer do you have a consistent baseline to work with, right? You're not wrong. Situationally, Miguel has use. Unfortunately, there's only so much you can do about that one. So, we'll start off with the Freedom Head. Let's get crack-a-lackin'. Okay, so alternated 4901 shot attack, nice. And this has the Vulcan, the normal Vulcan that can actually stagger. Pro tag, Gundam type. Okay. 7.665, just under 5. So this is going to push like 5,400 or something like that at 99. So, not bad. I don't really like the fact they upgraded the Picus though. Like, obviously it has really high stats now. Absolutely. Unfortunately, the EX skill is effectively a waste to really put alteration stuff into, considering there's going to be better shot heads down the line that have better traits. And the word tags, like, Pro Tag, not on a shot head. Gundam type, sure, but not Pro Tag. So it's not bad, it is technically a 7-star part stat-wise. Unfortunately, the one waste of a word tag and the trait that doesn't... Because here's the thing, right? Right now, right this second in GBGW, it is a luxury, I guess is the best way to phrase it, to be able to alternate a part. You're not able to alternate your entire suit right now. At least most people can't alternate their entire suits right now. And the stuff you need is very... uncommon. With that in mind, you need to be careful about what you alternate. You want to look at things that will give a high yield return. So something like the full armor unicorn chest, where after the alternation it has great stats, sure, but the traits, not only does it boost your shooting power by 30%, it gets another, for the first 30 seconds you get another 35% shot boost, right? That is a good investment because it gives high returns. The Exia back going from A power to S power, and was already deemed as one of the best melee backs to run before alternation. That is a good investment. So when I look at the Freedom Head, it gives you stats. Mwah, everyone loves high stats. It has a good word tag. Excellent. Unfortunately, it buffs a effectively crap EX skill, and that's just wasting your parts, or the limited luxury items. So that's why I look at the head and it's just kind of a write-off, because it's wasting something that is currently a valuable resource. Once they become more common, the mindset will change. But for right now, gotta be picky where you like the suit. If you like the suit, do whatever the heck you want. But for most people, you gotta be a little careful what you're investing into. Okay. When armor is 40% or more, strong melee damage output boosted, and middle shooter job. And see, this is what I mean. This may be something you want to invest into, because that second trait is actually very nice. Because, middle shooter job, that's pretty common, and you get a shooting power boost. But remember, when you're actually working with an alternated part that has 2 traits, and you want a sub-slot, you can't say, I want trait 1 from this part, and then I want trait 2 to be replaced with my back slot item. Doesn't work like that. Your traits are either from the front part or the back part. Your EX skills from the front part or the back part. You can't pick and choose like you can word tags, unfortunately. So for this one, the only truly useful trait would be the second one. The first one more or less just doesn't really feed into anything, as it is a flat melee damage boost. Only for strong melee attacks too. So not only do you have flat, which is effectively just not good, but right. So this is exactly what I mean. It may give amazing stats, which it looks like it does, and it has pro tag again. I'll just reconnect the phone. But the head and the chest so far are parts I would look at and go, if you want to alternate purely for the stats, these are your tickets. But there's better stuff to spend on, and you should be saving it for the stuff that's really stand out. Arms. What do we got? Bada bada boom. With power attribute, special shot power boost. With one enemy shot down, reduce cooldown by 50% once. So again, they like stat distribution wise. What the heck? Okay, so it's purely just gone all in on shot. Protag Gundam type. Yeah, no. That shot attack, like I guess it gets a heavy boost from the shot defense as well, so it'd push up to more or less like 2200-ish or so. Yeah, about 2200-ish, which is really good for arms, but you're effectively throwing away your traits, so... This definitely looks kind of like a stat stick alteration thing. Okay, the plasma beam cannon, A, B+, and that's the backpack shot. So it pushes it up to B+. I don't think that salvages the part. It obviously has jaw-dropping stats for a back piece. Its word tags are effectively write-offs though. Pro tag, high mobility for a shot piece. Its shot defense feeds into the already stupid high shot attack. But the EX skill just... No. No. Okay. Strong melee damage output boosted by flat number. With power attribute, initial EX skill charge boost. Again, this is one of those parts where it's just... You have one really good trait and one... It's not even mud. Ugh. Protag Gundam type, and wow. So even alternated, you can't break 4K melee. Why do you exist? What is your purpose? What's your opinion about different treatment between Zeta and Freedom on the upgrading material-wise? Oh, did I skip the legs? Whoops. I don't think really much is going to be... Oh, you know what? It had Ziphius. Okay, so there's S. Shot attack raise, squad attack raise. Stat-wise, 1007, 18, 6, 1600, 16, 25, 30, I don't know. Word tags. Okay, so this actually has a good EX skill, has S power now, and we already knew that the Freedom Legs had an amazing EX skill to start with. Stat distribution wise, you're looking at great numbers. Word tags, you're looking at a write-off. Here's something to think about. This is a part that I would say you could definitely alternate those, as it gives you an amazing stat boost and your EX skill goes to S power. But remember that the Strike Freedom Legs bring the same EX skill and a better overall stat distribution and tag. So you could invest into this, or you could wait until the Strike Freedom alternation comes out and invest in that instead. Remember, these alternation tools are still a luxury, and much like when gold chips were initially kind of pushed into the game economy, they were very limited for a good amount of time. So just kind of a food for thought thing, right? Don't rush into alternating it, because there's another part that is literally the same part but better. But if you need that stat boost now and you think you're able to get the alternation tools needed by the time, you know, the Strike Freedom rolls around whenever, absolutely, go for it. You get an S rank EX skill, you have great stats, you just have to worry about the word tags. So what was the other question? What's your opinion about treatment between Zeta and Freedom on the upgrading material-wise? The Zeta, I would say, was in a much worse position than in the Freedom. As for the material distribution, I think they're still kind of playing around with it because it is a new feature. They're seeing how many players can alternate, what players are alternating, how far players are progressing in events and things like that that distribute the tools to alternate. And I feel like they'll kind of hammer out the real issues with that. I still think that the battle circuit is a tinge on the more difficult than it should be side, considering the rewards that are locked behind it. But at least there does seem to be an improvement in terms of how this battle circuit has been received than the last one was. So clearly something has changed for the better. So much like I had originally said, just give it time, let it bake in the oven. Unfortunately, they're testing in production, but when your sample size is, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, whatever, versus like 20 guys you got in the back shed testing, it's easier to just throw it at everyone and see you guys test for us. Okay, so off to the beam rifle. With power attribute, jaw gauge increase boost, and when buffed, EX skill power boost. Okay, that second one is actually nasty, as it is very easy to get buffs, whether it's through awakening or whatever. You just get an EX skill power boost. However, the first trait's practically useless. Prote Gundam type, stat distribution, like it's okay. Doesn't even break 10k though. And considering we've already had limited parts that break 10k, that immediately makes this just not very useful, especially considering the parts that break 10k have better traits. Zeta can be permanently altered. Again, the Zeta was a much earlier suit than the Freedom. The Freedom came out much later, and it was a much more high-demand suit. The Zeta came out a lot earlier and was not a high-demand suit. So you got to think about it from their perspective. As much as it may be unfair for people that like the Freedom and the Justice and feel like, they want to fully alter it and use it because it's their favorite suit, and you can absolutely do that. Really, I just look at this more from a meta perspective, or what I perceive as a meta perspective. It's really up to each individual player. The Zeta being permanently alterable versus these which are limited purely just boils down to the Zeta not as popular as the Freedom and the Justice. You gotta remember, this is first and foremost a Japanese game. The Japanese audience, from what I've heard from everyone that talks about it, is they loved Gundam Seed Destiny, much more than most of the older series that the Western fans latched onto and really liked. So with that in mind, it makes way more sense to make the Zeta permanently alterable, right? And you make the Freedom and the Justice limited, because those will push people to roll and get the parts and alternate them. So it's just luck of the draw, really. It's just the way it is, right? There's no real malicious intent behind it. It's just the way the cookie crumbles when you're a business and you want to make money. At least they're fair about it. They've made it reasonably attainable to make sure you can alternate the Freedom and the Justice. They haven't made it extremely easy, not with any of the limiteds. If anything, the one thing I will say is the first batch, the full armor Unicorn and the Banshee Norn, got the shit end of the stick. They were the first ones that had limited alteration. We didn't know limited alterations were going to be a thing to that degree, and they just dropped it on us after the battle circuit. If you didn't have the parts or the power requirements in order to clear it to a specific point of the battle circuit, you could not alternate those parts, and we don't know when they're coming back. At least going forward from that point, we knew that it was going to be a possibility. So to hold on to your alternation tools as soon as you got them, and not spend them on things that were in the permanent exchange, because something better may just show up and only be available for a week. So count your blessings, at least. So the laminated anti-beam shield, A-D, shot defense, Prote, Gundam type. It brings a lot of defensive stats. Unfortunately, again, like, the EX is just not... No, if it was at least a Yeet Shield, maybe. But, like, this would be something that I would slap onto a melee suit. Because it does have Pro Tag, does have Gundam type, it does have a little bit of melee out of the box. Pair that with its melee defense with a change gear, that'll bring you some good numbers. Is it worth investing alternation tools into? God, no, unless you really like this suit. Okay, hopefully the Justice is a little better. Is Demon's Hunt better than the Alternated Strike Freedom Legs? That's actually a relatively good question to ask. To my knowledge, no, as Demon Hunt only goes to A power, whereas the new legs for the Freedom go to S. It's a lot like how the Exia back went from A to S, and like everyone is running S power tar that's able to get it and put it into their builds. So, okay. Justice. Ace exclusive, high mobility. Okay. Right. I remember this banner now. The Freedom had a bunch of melee buffs, but was a shot machine, and the Justice had a bunch of shot buffs. It was a melee machine. They just kind of switched each other's specialties around to screw with us. Okay. Psychotist, yeah, that's its Vulcan, Ace exclusive, high mobility, so one good shot tag, one meh tag. It's just not worth altering in my opinion. Pretty much the make or break to me when I look at these parts is purely based on the trait / EX skill, because that is the one thing that this really rolls on. If it's an EX skill, if you're going to alternate, it should push to S power. If it's not going to push to S power, it better damn well be a magazine that can go to A. Otherwise, to me, you're just kind of wasting resources. On the flip side, if you're looking at something that is a trait, both traits should be good. Don't settle for one good trait and one bad trait. Settle for two good traits. There's so many options right now that you can alternate, and if you don't like any of them, just wait. Chances are there's going to be something really good later. So, there's no real rush to alternate all your parts, because a lot of the meta parts still don't have alterations available. Okay. Stat-wise, melee attack 12, okay. When armor is 40% or less, strong melee power boost, back parts EX skill power boost. So part trait 1 is pretty much a complete write-off, and as I said, that pretty much just makes it not really worth it. The second trait's really good though. So, Ace exclusive, high mobility, again, doesn't really matter on the stats because the traits are just not, in my opinion, worth really investing into. You want to look for something that gives you two really good traits. The arms. Bustle Beam Boomerang, AB+. Okay. So if you missed the, I think, yeah, the Justice showed up in an Inferno. That Beam Boomerang is a goddamn menace, because he throws it, comes back, it'll hit you again. At least I'm pretty sure it comes back. I know it hits you on the way out, and that thing totaled me so many times on that Inferno challenge. That was just not fun. But being able to have that even stronger than it was before is a terrifying notion. Pair that with the really over-the-top stat distribution, because you have the 4821 melee attack, which is its base value. Pair that with the melee 2428, that's going to be, what, 800 transferred over? So you're looking at 5600 melee attack pre-marks. And with, yeah, no, this is definitely going to be like a 10k plus arm right here. That's nice. Ace exclusive, high mobility. Word tags, thankfully, not a big deal because of the sub-slotting. So, overall, I would say out of all of the parts in this, between the Justice and the Freedom legs would probably be the best first thing to go for if you don't have the Strike Freedom legs, you don't like the Strike Freedom, whatever. And then these arms look like also a good investment, as it is kind of just a flat boost. Would you spend 1500 HC for an alt badge? I would just wait, frankly. To me, there's no real rush to alternate because the only suits I truly want to alternate are the Kshatriya and the Strike Freedom. Those are the only two things I look at and I go, I really want to alternate you. Maybe the Strike Noir back. But beyond that, not really. And because of that, right, I'll just sit on my stuff. I don't really care that much. Because I still have suits that are going to be able to break 50k, whether they're alternated or not. To me, here's the thing, right? It doesn't matter, truly doesn't matter, whether your suit has 50k melee attack or shot attack or 60k. It doesn't matter. Because with numbers that high, whatever you're fighting, it doesn't matter unless they're packing like 15, 20k defense. Because your numbers are so stupidly high at that point, you're just reducing their HP even at a disadvantage with no problem. So, yeah, alternate out of love of the suit or parts that are unbelievably good. Other than that, just kind of sit on it, really. Even though these are limited time, they'll come back eventually in some form, right? If they don't, then there's going to be some words. So if you're not able to alternate them now, don't worry. The next time they come around, you'll be able to. Yeah, anyways. Legs, what are we looking at? Double Saber Shear. Unfortunately, Double Saber Shear, even if it was S, would still be crap because it's not a cutscene, it's just a animation you get locked into. Meaning if you start the animation and you whiff or something attacks you, you're literally just vulnerable, and there's dick all you can do about it except take it. Ace exclusive Close Combat. Look at that. Brings you a really good shot tag and a good supplementary tag. But only for melee. So, only with high firepower. Stat distribution wise, you're looking at 8, 9. So you're looking at about 2k melee attack on this, which isn't too bad after the modifications, so okay. But with the EX skill mod, nah. I realized Crossbone X1 never showed up in the event exchange before. It may, I don't know actually. I was about to say maybe because 2 OP, but do remember that the Strike Noir has shown up in the event blueprint shop, and the back is effectively like one of the best things to pair with a crossbow chest. So maybe they just haven't gotten around to it yet. Who knows? Back to this. Stats. What do we got? Ace exclusive Close Combat. Wow, this looks really familiar. S. There we go. Okay, so you get melee attack boost, you get a heal. This has S rank power. So I would say this is a very, very good part to give the alteration treatment to. However, much like with the Freedom, I will repeat that the Infinite Justice has like the exact same backpack with higher stats. So it's up to you. If you want to be min-max, wait for the Infinite Justice. If you just want to have it now, there you go. Go ham. Although I would actually recommend the Exia back between the two of them because it's a lot easier to EX10 the Exia back than it will be this, meaning you'll get more of the overall stats. So, up to you though. I'm not going to tell you how to play the game. Yeah, Suki, I know you like that part. Laminated anti-beam shield. Oh, wow. We're pushing 3k on the defensive stats, so that gives it over 1k on both melee and shot. With speed attribute, buff EX skill time up, and enemy shooting power reduced. Nuh-uh. Nope. Now, this is one of those unique moments where I would arguably say, if you wanted to field this on a melee suit, make this the front and then put the Gujin Rebake shield as the sub, and that way you can use the Yeet shield while still giving over 1k melee and shot to the primary suit. But that would mean you have to work out the tags because this has high mobility ace exclusive, and to my knowledge the Rebake shield doesn't really have like the core melee tags. And you'd also have to deal with the Rebake shield probably not going to be getting an alteration. Maybe it will, I doubt it, so you'd be kind of locking yourself in on that one. But again, it's just kind of like a food for thought, you know, free numbers. But yeah, the shield is like the most flexible slot, so, but I personally wouldn't, just fielding it. Okay, well, overall, between the two suits, yeah, so it's just the Justice Arms and the Freedom Legs. Those are the only two things that are like really noteworthy. I guess the Fatum backpack as well. But again, the Fatum backpack has the, much like the Strike, or the Freedom Legs, the Strike Freedom Legs are better overall, and the Infinite Justice backpack is better overall. So, up to whatever you feel like doing. Anyways, I think that's it. Gone over the event blueprints, all the gacha, the alteration. Is there anything left? Can you see if Twitter got the new suit skill video? Yeah, I can take a look. It should have. Yeah, it looks like it did. Cool. Give me a second here to get them all up and prepped. And we'll give them a nice little look-see. One, two... Okay, cool. Let me just move all of my recording stuff off of my screen here so you guys don't get some ridiculous infinite screen crap. Full screen that. Hopefully done. There we go. Yeah, like I said, I went and changed a bunch of settings. So one of them was in order to help me with getting the audio sorted out in between the different scenes. I made the audio sources not global through the application and made them unique to each scene. So I have to just go back and re-add them. Okay, so let us watch these new... Ooh. That is, Jesus, that is deafening. Okay. So what do we got? The leg. The arms. The back. So the back gives like a pseudo awakening. Neat. Neat. Don't really like the leg EX though. Okay. And what about your friend? Jesus, that's so loud. Okay. Alive Inyano? Wow, who could have foreseen that? You got the backpacks, just a yeet. Yeah. That's what I mean, right? Is if you whiff that kind of EX skill, you're just asking for it. And that's why I look at the double saber shear and it's like, I just don't think it's really that great. Because you're just asking, you're asking for it. Yeah, it is another Gusion. Like I said, like it looked like another rebake, but unfortunately, it's the back slot, which is highly contested on melee builds. So, it's kind of the pickle. But yeah. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? Because I'm pretty sure that's all she wrote. Went over the gacha, the event. I think that's it. So the mirror will stay as mirror does. And it may actually be my camera itself that's tilted. Yeah, I think it is, because it looks like even my bed frame is tilted, which I happen to know it's not. That looks too much tilted the other way. Whatever. Anyways, so with that, guys, I'm gonna wrap up. If you're interested, I will be playing Tales of Xillia for the next 3 days on stream. I'll be going back to my Wednesday to Friday nighttime streaming. So if you're interested, feel free to join, hang out, and watch me fumble. Beyond that, yeah, there's really nothing else. So thanks for hanging out. As somebody said, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. I normally never do this during stream, so it just feels weird to do. Anyways, peace out, guys, and I will see you tomorrow night for some of you, and for the rest of you, next week.